Welcome everybody to the Gut Reset Coaching Call number 1. I'm so excited to have you guys on the call this evening. We are recording this call, so you will have access to it tomorrow. That way the questions that we talk about, the data that we talk about this evening, you'll be able to watch it over and over again. So make sure that as we go, if you think of questions, put them in the chat box, so that I have those at the end and we can go through as many as we can fit in this hour-long call. But I'm going to run through a few slides. I want to share some content with you guys, and then we'll definitely save some call time at the end for Q&A. So just want to start off by saying it's really about discipline. It's not about perfection. None of us are perfect. We're all humans doing the best that we can. But it's about just really practicing the discipline, and then we're giving you the tools. So if you're combining, the tools we give you and the discipline, you'll definitely be successful on this program. We've seen it over and over again. If you mess up, that's okay. We'll get back up and start back over, and just do the best that you can. But just remember, we have the tools. We're here to help you, and we're just an email away. So I'm going to go through on this coaching call just some key points to remember. So number one, just remember it's temporary. This isn't for the rest of your life. So I know for some people, they can't think of things in seasons, but this, you need to think about it in terms of seasons. So just like you have a baby, you're not going to change diapers for the rest of their life. It's this little season. And so if you can just remember, hey, it's temporary, we're going to make it through. It seems like it's more doable in your mind. Number two is to remember your why. So there was a lot of downloads. I know all of you guys have access, and there's a lot of things to download. Make sure that you print all these items off and have them in front of you. And there is an exercise on your why. And so it's to help put in front of you that number one reason for you to be successful on this program. And so the why part of this, for a lot of people, it's different. For some people, it's, I want to be here for my grandkids. I want to be able to play with my grandkids. I want to be able to, continue to play my golf game. So everybody has their why, but they need to have that in front of them. So there's times where you're going to be tempted. There's times where you're going to be frustrated. There's times where you're going to be like, what am I doing? I can't believe I'm doing this program. You have to have your why in front of you, and just as a reminder. And number three is being prepared. So, you're going to have times where temptations arise. It's easier when you're not starving. So this is a gut healing diet. This is not a weight loss diet. Weight loss is something that a lot of people will see through the course of this program. But remember, first and foremost, it's a gut healing diet. So you need to consume calories for your body to heal. It's not about not eating. It's about eating the things that we tell you to eat, because we've done this program so many times. We've seen people be successful. We've made changes to the program. We've tweaked things, and we know that this works and people get results. And then making sure that you're allocating time to prepare your food, so that you're prepared and always have your compliant foods available when you're hungry and you're not in a pinch. So like plan A would be have your food ready, fill up on it. Plan B is, okay, I ate all that food. What do I do now? Well, you have your backups. You have extra shelf-stable or frozen leftovers from the day before, or a couple days, or on your day when you did your meal prep, if that's what you choose to do, available for whenever you run out. And then plan C is knowing the local restaurants in your area, stores that you can go in and out of, especially say if you're on your lunch break from work, and also know the food delivery services in your area that can bring from those local restaurants, if you're stuck somewhere and you can't leave, so that you have the food available. So the next one is setting up your environment for success. So make sure you have plenty of compliant groceries around. Make sure that you remove junk food and non-compliant groceries from your home, work, or car. I'll tell you a little story on this one, and it always makes me laugh. But I have a family member who, her husband, he's just a junk food junkie. He loves junk food. You know, he just hasn't made that decision in life to make the food change. And so she has his like little Debbie snack cakes and like these little, you know, poor quality sugar and processed foods. She actually puts them in a cooler in their dining room on the other side of the table so that she does not see it. So she can literally go into her pantry and not have that in front of her, so she's not tempted. So if you need to do something like that, if you need to set up your environment where you don't have, you know, say your kids have junk foods, or, you know, your spouse has junk food, or you have another family member or friend that lives with you and they have certain foods that you know are not going to work for you during this program, make sure you just talk with them and say, hey, can we, you know, move this over here just so it's not in my normal line of going in and out of the pantry or refrigerator, and not causing a problem for me on this program. And then number 5, here it is, communicate with people that you spend time with. So make sure family and friend, people that are around you all the time, know that you're doing this gut reset program. And so just tell them it's about you and not about them. You know, you're working on your health, you're doing this program, you really need to get to another point in your health. And that if you're going to, you know, be around them in social settings, it may be at restaurants, it may be there at your home, that they understand and they'll be very willing to help you out and, you know, see to it that you're successful in this program. Tell colleagues, you know, if people you work with and maybe you order food together on a certain day of the week or just share meals at work, tell them you're on a, you know, special diet, or your doctor ordered it. And the best case scenario is your family will want to join you. They'll want to support you. Second, best case scenario is they continue to eat their typical diet, but accommodate your choices. Worst case, and we don't see this often, but someone feels threatened and, you know, actively trying to sabotage what you're doing, but don't see that very often. Usually family and friends are very supportive of someone trying to get their health to the next level. And then number 6, social situations and festivities. So ideally do the gut reset away from major holidays. So we just did, you know, the timing of this was perfect. We just went through, you know, Thanksgiving and then Christmas, New Year's, where food is a main point of the celebration, you know, of these holidays. And so this is perfect, an ideal time to start the gut reset program because there are a lot of restrictions and it's doable, but it's a little bit harder when you're doing it amidst celebrations, holidays, and events. If you do have to attend a social event, such as a wedding, baby shower, just bring food with you that you can eat. Usually people are totally fine with that. I do that all the time. I have, you know, in my purse, I'll actually go to a restaurant and in my purse, I'll have my ranch dressing that I make because I like ranch dressing, but usually what's at a restaurant is poor quality. So I just pull it out discreetly. Nobody even knows most of the time, put it on, you know, the food, or I have a dip or I have a certain chip in my purse, and you know, it works. And so that way I can be compliant. I don't leave a restaurant feeling like, oh gosh, I blew it. I ate, you know, something I shouldn't have eaten. Or even eat before you go to the festivity. So we've lots of patients that do that. They'll actually eat their meal before they go to a meal, and it just works for them. So. Okay, and then next is plan of attack when cravings hit. So this is what is just having a game plan, and then you're going to be successful. So don't wait until, oh goodness, you know, I started this, I'm a couple days in, and then these cravings are hitting, and I wasn't prepared for it. So your plan of attack, you know, number 1, eat compliant foods to eliminate hunger. Number 2, drink water. Number 3, just breathe and sit with those cravings rather than immediately acting on it. So if it's like a deep breathing exercise, that works for a lot of people. And then number 4, distract yourself. So if it's, you know, getting out of the house, going for a walk, just going to sit in maybe one of your chairs outside in the yard, if weather permits, But doing that instead of just sitting there meditating on that, food that you're craving, a lot of times that works just to get, change your environment, get outside, or, go for a drive, get in your car and go for a drive. But one thing that we have used in our office with our patients is Kava liquid. There is a brand that we use that I find works the best, and it's Herb Farm. It's HERB and then PHARM. But it's a liquid you can just put under your tongue. It's a little, I believe it's a 2-ounce dropper jar. And you can pick that up at, I think Whole Foods for sure has it. Most local health food stores carry that brand. But it'll actually lower anxiety. So a lot of times when a patient is, doing a food sensitivity program and we pull a certain food out and they're used to eating that food all the time, they'll have, that anxiety that comes about when they're thinking about eating that food. And so they'll just put a couple drops of the kava under their tongue. Works very quickly within like 15 to 20 minutes. And that is a great distractor for cravings. So if you guys want to pick up a bottle of that over the next couple of days, I've seen it in so many places, even some of the grocery stores, the bigger grocery stores, HEB, Dustin, I know that's in the Houston area, but they have a little bit larger line of supplements, and they do carry the Herb Farm. And then number 8, stabilizing your blood sugar. So a lot of times the blood sugar fluctuations, underlying or what's causing, you to have these cravings. And so doing things that are stabilizing your blood sugar really help get control of cravings. The key is to eat in a way to stabilize it. So try eating protein and fiber at every meal, but for sure the protein. And if you're prone to blood sugar drops, eat protein and fiber every 2 to 3 hours, even if you're not hungry. So again, this is not a weight loss diet. We do have a lot of our patients that do fasting, intermittent fasting. So this is not what we're trying to do with this program. What we're doing with this program is trying to heal the gut. And so don't treat this, I know a lot of people are maybe brave going into this program and think, oh, I can do this with intermittent fasting. We don't want to cause a problem. And intermittent fasting takes a while to get the body accustomed to the fasting windows. And so if you're trying to do that on overlaying on top of this program, I think you're going to get very frustrated. So I would put the intermittent fasting to the side unless you're a person who's been you've been doing intermittent fasting. And if that's the case and you have control over it, that would be the only exception to the rule that I'm sharing with you. But if some foods make you hungrier or tired within a few hours after eating them, avoid them. Those are more than likely going to be a food intolerance. And number 9, identify your triggers. So some people have foods, emotional or situational triggers that tend to cause mindless or uncontrollable eating. So if you know what those are, let's just from, the get-go, from the top of this program, just go ahead and remove those. So it could be, chocolate, or it could be ice cream, could be chocolate ice cream, sadness or stress. If there's maybe a certain situation that you just instantly get into stress, try to avoid that situation. If it's sleep deprivation, situations or events such as a sports event or movie theater. So I know a lot of people, like, they go to the movies and they have to have popcorn, right? And that's definitely on our no-no list. But I know some people, it's like they feel like they can't go and watch a movie at the theater if they can't have popcorn. So if there's certain events like that, just know, hey, the next 30 days, I'm going to, take a break from that so that I'm not tempted. So know what your triggers are, be prepared with a plan ahead of time to avoid these triggers. And for example, move your body instead of eating when you feel the emotions coming on. So that's a tip that we share with a lot of our patients, and it actually works. It's kind of like, all right, when you feel this, do this, and you start creating that habit. I don't know if any of you have read Atomic Habits, a great book. But in that book, using different things as cues. So if any of you guys have some extra reading time, the first quarter of 2022, I would definitely highly recommend Atomic Habits book. And it coincides so well with this program because a lot of these things we're doing habits. Okay, number 10, managing your mindset. So negative beliefs about yourself and your progress make it harder to succeed. So the all or none thinking, like I had a bite, I might as well just finish, eating this, or just, keep eating. Say if you're at a wedding and you had a bite of cake, and then you just sit there and eat like 3 or 4, big slabs of cake, don't do that, because just having one bite's not going to sabotage. But if you go on and on, for hours at an event and just, hey, I blew it, I'm just going to go all in, take a step back. It's okay if you make a mistake, but don't just keep going, crazy through it, because you're going to pay the price later. Dwelling on the negatives, such as focusing on what you're missing out of instead of what you get to eat or your progress. So a lot of that's perspective, undervaluing yourself, putting yourself down, or thinking you don't deserve self-care and health. Everybody deserves to be healthy. And then the should or tomorrow statements, I should, do this, or I'll start doing that tomorrow, or I'll do better tomorrow. And then self-shame about appearance. So, a lot of you guys are going to make some great strides over the next 30 days. You're going to learn things about yourselves, make different habits, have a different outlook about health and like how you treat your body. I always like to share with people, like, our bodies are our biggest asset. You can't go buy a new car without the body that you're in. You can't get married. You can't have kids. You can't go to your place of employment. Like, everything that we do is through our bodies. And so if you look at your body as your number one asset, instead of, a lot of people, they spend more time and thought and care on their vehicles, like, I got to go rotate my tires and change my oil and wash my car and replace windshield wiper blades. They're doing all this for their vehicle, but their body is their number one asset. So if you're looking at your body as like, hey, I get to take care of my body. It's just a whole different perspective, on how we take care of our bodies. But you are not your thoughts are not reality. And then focus on the wins, be compassionate with yourself and give yourself grace. And then just remember, mistakes happen. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up. You're going to be at a restaurant and be doing just perfect. Your day's in and, you haven't made one mistake, and then say a waitress, writes your order wrong, and then you get a cross contamination in a restaurant. It's okay. Don't stress about that. One little thing like that, isn't going to change the whole 30 days. But just, do the best you can. If a mistake occurs, just make sure that you just start right back from that point moving forward. And then intentional or uncontrollable eating. So just making sure that we're doing the best we can to make the difference in this next 30 days. So this is the last slide. I definitely want to save plenty of time for Q&A. But I just want to, remind you guys, like, me and Dr. Eric, we're humans just like you. We've had to overcome temptations around food. Dr. Eric, he's diagnosed with celiac, years ago. And so he doesn't have gluten. Like, anytime we go to a restaurant, like, I've seen him, sit around a table of people eating pizza and he doesn't touch it, but we always look at like what we would feel like after we eat that. We use that to kind of like shift our thinking about food. Like, there was a time in my life where I would not pass up a donut, when I was younger. And I had such poor blood sugar control for years, before I understood about natural health and that I could, change and take control of the way that I ate and the way that I felt. But, now we think of what would we feel like if we ate those foods? And that helps us in that minute, like, avoid, making the decision to eat a certain food that's going to make us feel crummy and lead us down the wrong road. So just remember, we've had to do this too. We know it can be done. It's not easy. It's one day at a time. And just remember, we're here if you have any issues. So that make sure that you're using help at drericksnow.com. I have that with a customer service app on my phone 24/7. So I'm going to get it if you send it to that email address. And just make sure you give me some time. I mean, usually in a few hours time, I've responded back. If you don't get a response in a few hours, send me another email. For some reason, it did not come through. But just remember, we love hearing testimonies. I mean, if you have the littlest thing, I want to hear it. Don't think, oh, that's insignificant. It's not. All of this, taking place over the next 30 days, you guys are going to have some amazing testimonies, and we really appreciate you guys participating in this. So with that, I want to go ahead and open up the floor. I'm pulling from the chat box, and that's probably the easiest way. If you want to type your questions in the chat box, if you are on your phone, just make sure you swipe all the way left. And I believe if either kind of phone that you have, you swipe left, you'll see the little icon for chat, and you can punch your questions in there. So I'm just going to start at the top one. I know Dustin, before a few of you jumped on, he had asked about peppers. So he had asked about jalapenos, bell peppers. So peppers actually fall in the nightshade family. They are kind of high up on like the list of gut irritants. So for those of you who have not watched the video, the science behind the gut reset program, make sure you watch that and understand, what we're doing here. We're trying to take stress off of the GI tract. And so when we have stress, whether it's in the form of, a nightshade, it's a phytate, if it's lectin, so all these things, they are actually causing our body to have to deal with it. And so if all these things are stacked on top of each other and we're having to deal with them, our body can't do the process of healing our gut. And so it's just having to handle these things. So definitely peppers, we want to take those out for the next 30 days. I know Chantal has a question. So she had balsamic vinegar. So unfortunately, vinegars, unless it's apple cider vinegar with the mother, it's fermented. The rest of the vinegar should be taken out. They're going to cause you more harm. Chickpeas was another question she had. And so chickpeas, they're a legume. And so, in that family, we're trying to pull those beans out, but legumes. And so chickpeas wouldn't be incorporated. And then she asked, what protein powder would we recommend for the smoothie recipe? So what I recommend is a straight hemp protein. If you cannot do hemp, just message me and I'm going to give you some other options. I'll have to send you some other options that we have, but I would say like Nutiva is a brand, and they have that at for sure Whole Foods. Most health food stores have it, but Nutiva is the brand. And it's just plain. It doesn't have any flavoring. It's just plain hemp protein. And then Dustin asked about honey. So yeah, unfortunately, honey is not on the list. So sugar is probably one of the biggest culprits when it comes to causing some gut irritation. And a lot of times it's quantity dependent, but I'm going to say because we've probably wreaked havoc on our guts for so long, it doesn't take very much of any sweetener to cause some issues. So if you do look on the approved list, there's a few things that we have put in the approved sweetener list, but honey is not one of them. And I love it. Chantel said that they are meal prepping all of their meals. I love it because that being very at the beginning, being very organized with your meal planning and what you're going to do for, say, the week. If you do a week at a time, you're not going to find yourself getting into trouble. So meal prepping is a very good idea. But she asked, but should we find ourselves in a situation, could you recommend some food places and also some food suggestions at these restaurants? That is a great idea. So Chantel is actually local where we live, but we're not far from Dustin. He's in Houston. And if any of you guys want to list where you are, I'll try to throw a few ideas. So I'll tell you what I do, because a lot of times we go to restaurants, we get invited to go out and eat. And I'm like, I'll make anything work. And so most restaurants are accommodating with avocados. I mean, you can probably find an avocado at any type of restaurant that you go to, and you'll find a basic salad. So if you have a salad on the menu, don't be afraid to tell them, hey, if there's 8 different toppings, I don't want these 4, just take them off. I don't want them at all. Don't bring them to the table. And then it's like you're grocery shopping at the menu when you're ordering at the restaurant. So I know I'm probably the most high maintenance person. I try not to be, when I go to a restaurant. I feel like they're serving me and I'm going to tip them well, but I'm going to find what I can put or build off of their menu. I might go over here and look, oh, okay, well, I know they have, this and this because it's on this entree, but I don't want that entree. And so I just say, hey, can you put, the avocados on my salad, but take, the fruit off. And so just remember, almost anywhere you go, the waiter and waitresses, they're very willing, because they're working for a tip, they're very willing to be accommodating. And so I basically will pull different things off of the menu. I'll omit things that are served with the item. And I'll add things that I see that are on another item. And so I've went to a restaurant before and I've basically ordered like 3 different items, like 2 appetizers and an entree. But just the way that I pulled things off and added things, it was perfect for me. Didn't get me in any trouble, and they were happy to accommodate. So just make sure, like if you go to a place, I'll give you some examples, like O'Charlie's, they're going to bring that bread. So when you sit down, just tell them right then and there, unless you're with like family and they're going to eat the bread, but I just flag them down and say, hey, don't worry about the bread. Don't even bring it to our table. If you go to a Mexican restaurant, here they come with the chips. They're so fast with the chips. Sometimes they come and I'm like flagging them off with the chips when they come to the table. And sure, we have a son. He's 13. He likes the chips. And I mean, I like them too, but I know I'm going to get in trouble if I eat them. So I'll just have him on the other side of the table with his chips over there out of arm's reach. But a lot of times he's even fine with me just, hey, we're not doing chips. Don't worry about bringing them to the table. So I would say, just remember, restaurants are very accommodating. I can name a few that are in Lake Charles. So 121 Bistro, that's probably our go-to place because they're so accommodating and they have a lot of healthy, fresh items on the menu. And so again, I'll just remove things that I can't have, whether it's a crouton off the salad or fruit, or peppers, and then just look and see what else is on the menu that you can throw on your salad. I'm trying to think with some other places. There's so many good places in Houston. Dustin, we're jealous that you live there. There's a ton of good places. Let's see if I can think of some ones right off. All the Papa's restaurants, they have really good quality food. I feel like they're very accommodating, whether it's Papacitos, Papa's, they have a very good wait staff. And so they're willing to, make changes to anything on the menu. I definitely think, the Papa's, they have, seafood and steaks. You can't go wrong with, a piece of fish. And, remember, if they have options to put on the steak. So if it's no pepper, just tell them, hey, I can't have any pepper on my steaks. I just want salt. So they're taking your order. They'll make sure that it's, the steak is prepared or the piece of fish is prepared to order, even with seasoning. And again, don't feel bad to bring some of the recipes that we put in the program, the dressings. If you have it in a little jar, I know that's hard for guys because you can't bring a purse, but stick it, in your girlfriend or your wife's purse and just have her, take it out for you. But I do that all the time and I don't even feel odd anymore doing it because I guess I do it so often. I guess I feel bad when I go to the movies because I feel like, I'm like bypassing that, but there's nothing I can have on the movie theater menu. There's not one thing. And so I feel like this is medical reasons, so I just put it in my purse and go in and, I open up my purse when we sit down and I eat my foods that I can eat. So let's see. Another thing just to keep in mind is the grocery store is one of your best fast food options. I can literally go in the grocery store, in the produce section, and grab me 3 or 4 things and walk out faster than I can go through a fast food line. I think it's funny, but I've parked my car and went and got me seriously like an avocado. I keep a little camping tool set in my glove box of my car. So it's like the camping spoon, fork, and knife. And so I'll eat avocados, like no big deal, wipe them off whenever I get home in the sink and put them back in the car. But avocado is like the best fast food. I eat avocados at least 2 a day every day. But definitely I would say that's, an option is to stop at a grocery store. So Dustin asked, what about fajita seasoning or snack suggestions? So I wanted to talk about, there is a company that is called FODY Foods, FODY Foods, and it's actually FODMAP for those of you, a lot of you coming into this gut reset program have already done some investigating into FODMAP. So like food sensitivities, like for the small intestine. So a lot of people have already restricted some of these foods that they know they instantly cause bloating. And so that company took and formulated some different like sauces and spices. And I have a ton in our pantry and our refrigerator. They're wonderful. And those are approved. So you can definitely use the FODY Foods. And remember, you can make your own fajita seasoning. So if there's a couple of things you need to omit and like you could go on Pinterest and put in, say, fajita seasoning without peppers. And there's a ton of good references on Pinterest for reformulating. And so you'll just take a little shaker. It can be a recycled one from like, say, a container you ran out of, say, garlic seasoning or whatever seasoning, the empty container, and you just put in the amounts of your version of fajita seasoning, or say your version of lemon pepper. And so there's a lot of substitutes that you can use so that you're still having something that has some flavor to it. So I know that's what a lot of people, it's like, oh, this is going to be so boring and the food's going to be bland. It doesn't have to be that way. You just have to think outside of the box. But there are a lot of things that you can use. Snack suggestions. We did make a list. And so make sure, again, that y'all go in and do the downloads so that you can have some ideas for snack suggestions. Again, anything, email me. I'm happy to respond back with yes or no, or just maybe a substitute for something that you're having trouble substituting. But as far as snack suggestions, a lot of the stuff that I do is just cut up vegetables. That's a huge amount of what I'm eating all the time. So I know, again, some of you are like, oh gosh, that sounds boring, but there's a ton of different sauces that you can make. And so I make my own homemade ranch dressing. It's very simple to make. So, I mean, that's one thing, having some different sauces to dip your vegetables in. So you're not just eating just bland, plain vegetables. But a lot of times, if you're getting tired of the raw vegetables, it's actually easier to steam them and have them in your meal prep. And so if you have a box of, say, like, carrots and celery, whatever different vegetables that you put together in your meal prep, just do something different, like saute them. And so they have a different taste, and just put them back in the different envelopes. So definitely a great idea, so that you're not eating the same raw vegetables. And then I tell people to go to the grocery store and explore, like go there without your perfect grocery list that you get the same 5 items over and over again. A lot of people never look at different items they've never tried before. So you go to the grocery store and just sit there and give yourself a full 30 minutes in the produce section and look at things like artichoke hearts. Those are amazing. They're not hard to prepare. And we eat those quite often. But look at all the items that, what's a parsnip, what And again, we're not doing this low carb. So, what's open to you is so much more than if you're just trying to do a low carb diet in the produce section. So take some time in the grocery store, spend, an extra 30 minutes to an hour next time you go, and look at things that you've not eaten before, kohlrabi and, red cabbage. And there's so many things. And, have you steamed a red cabbage, or have you eaten it raw? I mean, think of different ways to prepare maybe something that you've eaten 1,000 times before, but you just weren't thinking outside of the box on preparing it different, and you may love it prepared differently. Let's see. Carol has, I heard that serrano peppers do not have the same properties as other peppers as far as being an irritant. Is that true? I have not heard that, Carol. As far as I've been taught, peppers are all in the nightshade family. Now, they may fall where they're still in that family, but maybe they have less irritation. But what I was sharing with Dustin at the beginning of the call is what we're trying to do is take stress off of the gut. And so by us pulling things out that we know are, in a family or in a grouping that can cause some gut irritation, just for this 30 days, we're, pulling that out. And so that we're not putting any extra work on our gut so we can heal our guts. And so I know it's like a bummer because, so many of us eat peppers and we're used to having spicy foods. But again, look into the fatty foods because they do have some different sauces and seasonings that you can do. And so Carol said, I can't do hemp. Carol, send me an email and I'm going to send you some different options for smoothie mix. Anybody else with the same issue that they can't do hemp. Hemp's the easiest protein. And if you can get that plain, that's the easiest one to do, the easiest one on the gut. But there are some other options. Linda sent, why can I have grapefruit but not oranges? So the thing with oranges is the amount of sugar that we're watching. And so sugar, again, we talked about that a few minutes ago. It's very irritating to the gut. And it really feeds pathogens in the gut, which whether this is a dysbiosis or it's a leaky gut, we're still treating it the same through this program. And again, if you go back to the science behind the gut reset program and watch that video that we prepared for you, you'll see that, a lot of times these overabundant populations of pathogens are what's just keeping us in a, problematic health condition. And then so many types of flour, it's confusing which one is best. Can I use the same flour for all of your recipes? Yeah, and so we're doing the coconut flour. I'm not sure which recipe that you're talking about, but if you find just the coconut flour is the easiest and you want to use that, that is perfectly fine to use that one for all the recipes. And why liquid stevia but not the crystals? You can use either one. So I don't know if you didn't see that on the list, or maybe I omitted it. I apologize if it was not on there, but you can use the packets or you can use the liquid of the stevia. Either one of those is fine. Okay, let's see. Linda also said, I'm already taking your gut supplements as well as the beet powder. That is awesome. But it looks like I'm not taking them properly. And looking at the gut pill scheduling, I'm not sure how many and when. So definitely get your download. I have a supplement schedule where you literally can like circle or check off after you take what you need to take for the day. So easiest way than me just verbally telling you that again is download the nutrition schedule, the supplement schedule, and just take it exactly as it is on that schedule. It's super simple for the 3 supplements that we have on this program. And then Chantel said, aside from food, my hubby and I are both doing the gut reset and he tested positive for COVID today. Oh no. It is okay. He can probably still do the program because he's probably not feeling all that like, super appetite. but I think he'll still be okay. Because if I remember right, when I had COVID, if it's similar symptoms, you're not super hungry, like your appetite just pretty much goes straight down. But I think that he would be fine doing that. And so what I would do is just take one day at a time. If he gets to a point where, it's frustrating for him, I mean, that's okay. Totally understandable, given the circumstance. But I really feel like, him doing the gut reset and just having as much of those foods prepared and available for him. And so that would be awesome if you were there, supporting him, Chantel, and making sure, he can do this. But as far as the supplements, those would not hurt him doing while he has COVID. But that is a good question. And then my ranch dressing recipe, I tell you what would make it easiest, instead of me typing it in the chat box, if you guys that want the ranch dressing recipe, because it's so good, just email me and I'll respond back and give you the recipe. I'll just copy and paste and send it to you guys. And then Dustin has, last question I see is, the sheet pan breakfast bake has bell peppers in the, does it really have bell peppers in the ingredients? Are you kidding me?
Yes. Sorry, it's right there.
Well, that is a typo. I'm glad that you noticed that, but it should not be in that recipe. So that is my fault for putting that in there. So just omit the bell peppers out of there. But that sheet pan breakfast bake is amazing. If you put the Fadi Foods enchilada sauce on there, it is very good. And then I see on here, Dustin also asked, would taking extra probiotics or enzymes help? You're meaning like with bell peppers?
No, just in general on the.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of taking digestive enzymes. Of course, good quality enzymes, but you're always going to help your gut out with anything that you eat. If you think about it, raw foods are actually a little difficult to digest. And so I keep the digestive enzymes like next to the seasoning and the napkins in the middle of our table. Like my whole family, extended family too, they come in there, they just help themselves. They know what they are. But I feel like if you have them right in front of you, you won't forget to take them. And then I have them in my purse too. So anything that you can do like that is just beneficial, I think that's a wonderful idea, to always take extra probiotics and extra enzymes, when it's too much, like if you're taking too much probiotics, because you will get soft stool. So just what works with your, digestion. But I'm super big fan of doing probiotics and digestive enzymes throughout this whole program. So if any of you guys, pick up a bottle of digestive enzymes, you're already doing a probiotic, the Gut Restore. However, you absolutely can, take more. It's not going to hurt. I don't know if it's necessary if somebody has a budget and they're like, oh gosh, because they're expensive. A good probiotic is expensive. So I wouldn't say that you need to, but I wouldn't say it would hurt if you did do extra. And then Chantel said she saw the bell peppers too. So I apologize for that. I will update that on the site. But when I put that together, I guess I don't know how that got on there. But there's so many recipes when it's funny because, me and my husband having a holistic health practice, I do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. He does seeing patients. But a lot of the behind the scenes stuff is we have patients doing fasting. And then we have patients that are, doing a low carb diet, that are, eating more like 3 meals a day. We have some that are doing keto. We have some that are doing, gut reset programs. So there's so many different diets. And so I know when we were putting and building the recipes, so I apologize for the bell peppers being on there. But you guys, I'm not saying, just sneak those in there and do it. Do the best that you can with using the recipes that we give you. That I think that's the only mistake, because I've had so many people go through this program and nobody brought that to my attention. But I would say, do these recipes, 100% the best that you can, and you're going to see some amazing results in the end. So any more questions? We are actually just at the 45 minutes. So if anybody else has any more questions, I'd love to answer them. Make sure I didn't see any that I missed in the chat box. And I can unmute, let's see. I think you guys actually have to unmute yourself, but you're welcome to unmute because it's not letting me do it on my end. But if y'all have any questions, definitely don't want to rush anybody. We have another 15 minutes that we can talk.
Peppers. No peppers.
Dustin, is that your other half?
That's my support group.
Hey.
Hi, nice to meet you. It's really nice having support. So I know Chantel, she's on here. Chantel, she and her husband are doing this together. It's really nice. It's doable without a support group, but it really does help. So if you don't have a spouse that's helping you, whether they're doing it with you or not, but they're helping you, it's so nice, to have that support, even from like an emotional, reasonings, because just to have hope that you're going to like do this and get better on the other side, that's a biggie. It's not all just what you're putting in your mouth, what you're eating. There's so much of it here, mindset. And when you have a spouse, or even if it's just a close friend that's at your house a lot and they're just wanting you to be successful, it's so nice to have that support. So thank you for coming on board and helping him. And I know Chantel, her husband, them, working together. But if you don't have that support at home and you have somebody who's a close friend, definitely bring them into the picture, and so that they can, there's people that just love to cook, and they have a friend that's great at cooking. And so you can like bring them on board with some of these recipes. And, if you want to like have Sundays where you like make the recipes together, just to have somebody, an extra pair of hands in the kitchen to prep and have the foods, I think that's a wonderful idea. It's all about success, and how much you prepare ahead of time, and how much support you have, and how much, that you're, really thinking and focusing on the positive stuff and what you do get to eat and what you do get to do in this program. Then you're going to be so thankful and successful in the end. It's a gratitude thing, I'd have to say, at the end of the day, when you're grateful for, what we do get to do on this program, the foods we get to eat, how we get to share with family. And so I really feel like having a grateful heart is important in this program. And it's also important in how we digest our foods. If you've ever been super frustrated and you like eat your food real fast and you're like, oh my goodness, like my stomach hurts, like your emotions have a huge part in how you digest your foods, and so really, the digestive enzymes, anything like that is super helpful. But just having the frame of mind, taking your time when you're eating, and not being like frustrated, or, say if you had a very busy morning wherever you work, say at an office or wherever you work, very busy morning, and you feel just this stress, you can feel that cortisol surge. Take some time before you just start, putting your food in your mouth, letting your body just readjust, if it's deep breathing or just, kind of stepping back from what you were doing to allow your body to digest your food better. A lot of people think like, hey, I just got to check this off a list and keep moving. I'm busy. But a large thought process in digesting food. And a lot of people who've had, digestion issues is how they're eating their foods. What kind of environment, are they eating their foods in? Is it chaotic, or is it stressful? Is it frustrating? And so if you really watch that, that's a big factor too that we haven't talked about. Okay. Any more questions?
I was wondering, so at the end of the 30 days, what are we hoping for? He has a leaky gut.
Mhm.
So what should we kind of be expecting, or what have you seen happen with others?
Yeah. So, what kind of tests have you done? Do you have any kind of marker for the beginning, like a zonulin or anything that you have a marker? And that's okay, because a lot of people don't order those. Those are more functional medicine practitioners. We order those at our office. But if you have some sort of marker to know, to be able to measure for the end. But a lot of times what we tell people, it's not like, okay, I couldn't eat gluten and now I want to like eat gluten at the, 30-day mark. We don't want to do that. That's not our measure stick. But what we could do is take some different, let me think about that, because there are some things that you could measure at home now and then at the 30-day mark. So send me an email. And if it's several questions in one big email, that's perfectly fine. But in that email, just say, what are some markers that I can measure now and at the 30-day mark? Because that's a great question that we can do for you guys who don't maybe have a functional medicine practitioner that you're seeing that can measure, or blood work that's, recent. And then it's expensive to do blood work, now and then 30 days later, although there are some markers that we can look at with blood work. But definitely I would say there are some people who have different varying degrees of either dysbiosis or leaky gut. And I've been there myself. And so 30 days of even doing a program like this may not be the place where you want to stop. It may be a good place and you're a lot better than you were. And what I would really say is your measuring stick is your list of symptoms today, and you're going to be doing the symptom tracker. But think of as many things as you can think about. For a lot of people with leaky gut, anxiety is like the top of the list. You wake up with it, go to sleep with it. It's just, that's what happens when you have leaky gut. And so if you can have a measure of, say, 0 to 10, what is that anxiety like, or whatever your main symptom is with the leaky gut, if you know what that is in each day that you're going to see where you are at the 30-day mark, and you're going to want to keep going. So what we tell people is it may take 2 months, it may take 3 months before you are where you want to be. But each stretch that you go and that, you keep, using the tools that we've taught you and keep the discipline. I would say most people in a 90-day period can definitely be on the other side of leaky gut or on the other side of dysbiosis. So, but you may not be where you want to be in 30 days. So I would definitely have, the symptom tracker and be watching, where you are each day and keep watching it. And I think that's very motivating to look at, the symptom tracker, where are you? But we've had a lot of people that they were happy at the end of the 30 days. Maybe they had, some light dysbiosis, or they were just trying to get their health, to a different level, get some of the inflammation out of their body. But we've had some people that, had some really, big GI, dysbiosis and leaky gut symptoms. And so if you did the same thing, you can reorder the supplements and just continue doing that for 2 months. And then you decide at the end of the 30 days or 60 days, hey, this is where I want to be. And what I would just suggest is to continue the probiotic. And we're going to talk about this on the second coaching call. We're going to go a lot more in depth into what do we do next? Like what's beyond, okay, we're getting close to the 30-day mark. What do we do now? And so you definitely can know, where you want to keep going. But what we usually suggest is to continue digestive enzymes and probiotics from that point. If you feel like you've pretty much overcome most of the symptoms. However, if you still feel like you're kind of like, say, a 5 out of 10 on some things, you may want to continue doing the gut rescue, the gut revive, and the gut restore for another 30 days. And so we are going to have a coupon for people that are going to continue taking those products. I believe it's a 30% off coupon we'll send you guys. So anybody who wants to do another 30 days, they just want to continue on, or even beyond that, I'll make sure you have a coupon so that you can do this if it's up to 90 days. But I don't see any reason why you would need to do it beyond as far as the supplements. But I do feel like the eating, a lot of people could benefit to keep as close as they can to the eating habits that are outlined here in this gut reset program for 6 months or longer. And you'll know if there's some foods that are just like, hey, never adding those back in. I know what they are. They wreak havoc. Mine is chocolate. And you can ask my husband, if I have chocolate, it is a not good thing. I can instantly feel gut irritation. I've done it so many times and I'm like, what was I thinking? But I'm pretty good about steering clear of it now, just because I know within 24 hours, I would have some anxiety, some little light anxiety. And I feel tired. It's the same pattern over and over again. So I just don't put that back in my diet. So you'll know what those foods are. And if you don't know at the end of the 30 days, what those foods are, we definitely can steer you in the direction of doing a food sensitivity panel. But most people know what they are at that time frame, taking them out. And then we're going to teach you how to do a food reintroduction the correct way. And I'd have to say most people, when they reintroduce foods, they'll know like, oh yeah, this is definitely the culprit right here. And so they know I'm not putting that back in my system. And it's okay. There's maybe a handful for each person, maybe 1, maybe 3, maybe a couple more items they're not going to put back in their system. And that's okay, because nothing tastes as good as feeling healthy, period. That is my motto. I tell people all the time, nothing tastes that good that I'm going to make my body, feel that bad. So I do see a couple more comments. Chantel said, oh yeah, being intentional and perspective is so important. I've learned over the years, being successful where food is concerned. Absolutely. And so, yeah, Carol, cayenne pepper is a nightshade. It does have benefits, but they don't outweigh when we're talking about a gut reset program like we're doing. So it does, of course, cayenne has some properties to it for circulation. But I would say if it's a food you can continue, it's not a problematic food, then I would just, after the 30 days, pick that one back up. And then Chantel said, for the kava liquid drops, do you recommend a combo or straight kava? I see some with lavender oil. You can try it with lavender oil. I've not tried kava with lavender oil. It sounds like it would be great. I usually just do the lavender, which I was going to probably tell you guys, that's another thing, that just putting that, all over. Essential oils are a great way to kind of calm down. So if there's a little anxiety with like making these food changes, or just, having frustration with this as we get going, essential oils are amazing. So if you want to put some on a napkin and just breathe them in, it's amazing. Cayenne is in 2 of the recipes. I don't know how I did that, but I'm if you can put in the chat box which recipes that is, because I'm like, I don't know how I did that. Cayenne and bell peppers. So definitely don't want you guys to mess up. But thank you for telling me that, Carol. I see that on the chat box. But back to Chantel, the plain kava liquid will do the trick. but definitely doesn't hurt to do some essential oils in addition. Anything that's going to help kind of calm and help with some of that anxiety, as some people may already have anxiety as part of, you know, what we're working on, but just the program, thinking that it's a little overwhelming, but hey, it's not. You can do it. All of you guys are going to be successful on this program for sure. I see that, Carol. Thank you. So the baked artichoke hearts and the grilled cauliflower steaks. I don't know how that was in there. I feel like I looked over that material like 100 times, but you know, there was so much stuff in there. So, but thank you. I'm going to do a screenshot so I can fix that. Perfect. Okay, guys. So we are right at the hour mark. Remember, we are here. The email that's still up on the slide, help@drericksnow.com. Send me your questions. Give me a couple hours to respond back. And if it's quite a few questions, give me a little bit more time, you know, to respond back and answer your questions. But we appreciate you guys. We know you're going to be successful. And again, just make sure to submit those testimonies too. We want to hear the good things that are happening. Definitely want to answer your questions, but we want to hear about the good things that are happening. And then we will see you guys back in 2 weeks for the second coaching call. So stay tuned for that. And we wish you all the best of luck on the gut reset program. Y'all have a good night.